What's up, guys? So just before this video starts, I want to let you guys know that this does in fact work. If your sunroof does rattle, this is in the night. First time I've driven my car since I fixed it, which was this morning and last night and all kinds of times. But anyways, it is now fixed. There's no more rattle. I'm really happy about it. The car finally is quiet aside from the engine sound, which is what I want. And there's no more rattling, so it doesn't feel like a cheap car, which is great. What's up, guys? It's currently 2:40 a.m. I want to say, and I'm about to drop my headliner in the C63 over here. So basically, I'm doing this because my sunroof has been rattling a lot. This is a pretty common issue in the W204 Coupes. All the Coupes came in standard in North America with a panoramic sunroof, which is great for visibility and stuff, and like getting light in the cabin and stuff like that. However, it is not good for an AMG where you have all the chassis flex going on, you're doing performance driving and stuff like that. You want a stiffer chassis, so this is one of the big downsides of having the panoramic roof. And it's even in the black series, which is kind of weird, but only in the US it's like that. So I'll be removing the headliner, or dropping at least the front part of it, just so I can tighten up the bolt at the very front of the sunroof itself. So one of my buddies actually had this issue under a dealer warranty, and he took it to the dealership, and they just basically dropped the headliner like this, and then they went ahead and tightened up the bolts, put some Loctite on and stuff like that. So I'm going to be attempting that myself today. A little bit of background. My car always had this sort of sunroof creak, not really creak, but it's really a rattle as you drive. It always had it basically since I bought it used, with about 15,000 miles on, a little less than that. And on the car, it's 40,000 miles, and stuff has happened along the way. Obviously, nothing major. But what happened about a year and a half ago was I was driving on, or actually was getting to a gas station, and my car is lowered a little bit on just lower ring springs, and not scrape the bottom end. I wanted to go at an angle. It was a pretty steep incline to a gas station, so I was going at an angle. Car went on 3 wheels, and I could hear a loud bang, and went to fill up the gas, and I noticed the front portion, not this main glass over here, but the front black glass that's kind of over this panel right over here, which you can't actually see through, that completely shattered. That tempered glass completely shattered, and you know, thankfully Mercedes went ahead and warrantied that for me. Even though it's just out of warranty, they did a little honor thing. Ever since they replaced that, this thing's been rattling non-stop. This just seems like a really strange design thing that they had going on, or at least the repair wasn't quite thorough in the sense that they didn't tighten the bolts down enough or didn't replace the bolts. But what I'll be trying to do is I'll just take all the bolts out, put some red Loctite in, put them back in, tighten them up as much as I can, and call it a day. I've already kind of been doing half of it. I've done the driver's side for the most part, gotten the clips ready to go. But I figured I would stop doing that right now, and I would show you guys to do the exact same thing on the passenger side, which is essentially the exact same thing. It's just, you know, you have to do it twice. So obviously once on that side, once on this side. But I figured I'd start off with the middle. Just kind of show you guys what's up. So one of the first things you're going to want to remove is this sort of cowling around the mirror, which is actually very easy to remove. You really just got to kind of grab it, and then it just kind of pulls down like so. Very easy to remove. This should be similar on all C classes, even some other models as well. It's all pretty much the same piece. And then there is, as you can see, there's some cameras and stuff. I don't exactly know what that's for. Next, I'm going to remove this piece, which you just kind of pull down on, and you can kind of get out of the way just with your hands without really making a big noise or anything like that. Don't want to break anything, obviously. Kind of got to fit an angle to get that out of the way. But in fact, it'll actually probably just stay there because the mirror is kind of attached to it, that bracket over there. Next up, you want to remove this control panel up here. So for this control panel, you're going to want some sort of plastic trim tool like this orange one I have over here. Simply stick it in right behind this main part right over here. And as you can see, it just drops down very, very easily. So all we did there was we just kind of pushed this piece forward, and that released the entire module. Now, I'm going to go ahead and unplug all these little different things down here. I believe all these plugs will only go in one direction, so it's not really a big deal to keep track of which one goes where. The next thing you're going to want to do is remove the mirror from the roof, which is basically attached with the spring over here, as you can see. Just kind of wiggle it out, and by kind of pulling on it but to the side, it'll just kind of pop right out. This will be kind of difficult to put back in, as I can tell right now. The spring is not going to go in very easily into that little socket again. There are 3 T20 screws you want to take out. These 3 all seem pretty shallow, and then once you get that out, you can actually remove this little bracket over here. And this bracket's holding in this plastic retainer from the actual headliner itself. And also, just to kind of show you guys what's going on with this sort of upper control panel, it was hooked on to this little plastic bracket over here on these 2 circular sort of pieces. As you can see, there are little hooks on the back of that module. You can kind of see right there where this wire is. So one of the 2 little hooks right over there, and they would kind of go on this, which would allow them to be hanging off those. But obviously we remove that now. But once we get this sort of thing out, this little bracket out, the entire headliner can now come out Anyways, here's this piece removed. As you can see, it just kind of comes right out. Nice little part number up there, but it pops right down. And this little bracket that was holding the plastic piece is now out of place, which now means, take a look at this, the entire thing is a lot looser than it was before. So I'm going to move on to that side and show you guys how to get rid of all that sort of stuff going on over there to loosen up the front end on that side. Alright, so first thing you guys want to do is pull down this little rubber shield over here around the door. This will allow us access to get a lot of those panels off, these little trim pieces and stuff like that. Just loosening it all the way down. Not a huge deal. We can actually put some silicone on this to kind of revive a little bit on the way back when we put it back together. Yeah, now we get back in the car and start removing stuff. Alright, so first off I'm going to take off the sun visor and all the clips. So here I do is put it down like that, move this to the side, and then I'm going to start off with this guy over here. So first thing I do is remove this outer sort of plastic piece that goes around the actual clip over here. So what we can do is get either a pick tool or some sort of trim tool and then just sort of loosen it up, and it will eventually come off. Now it can be a little stubborn, as you can see. Alright, once you get this piece out, it looks like this. Has these two little long tabs at the back. It's kind of went in like that. Went just right above that. And now what we can do is simply pull this guy out. There's not really much holding it in at this point. Alright, so next I'll be removing this entire visor itself. So first we gotta do the same thing kind of with this guy over here, which actually I realized that this is actually out of the headliner, so it's actually not even holding it in. So I'm just gonna leave it like that because it's kind of stubborn, doesn't really want to come out, so I'll leave it sort of like this. But now we have to remove this outer sort of shielding for this guy over here, which is going to be pretty similar to how we remove this outer plastic cover for this one. So I'm just going to use a trim tool, get the outer thing off in the exact same way. I'll show you guys what it looks like in a minute. Got the plastic surround off, and that's what this guy looks like over here. Just basically a piece of plastic. And then to finally take out the actual clip, we just got to pull on the headliner a little bit. Pull on the visor a little bit, and it'll actually release itself just like that. And that is basically loose enough. Now this will eventually come out when we take out more stuff along the lines over here and take off this guy over here. But for now I don't want to force it out because clearly it doesn't want to come out. But I'm not going to force the plastic and I don't want to break anything. So I'll be on the safe side. I'm just going to remove this guy first. And then also, like I said, this panel over here will just completely come out. So yeah. So we'll do this panel first over here. What we got to do is release this airbag badge over here. Right behind this is a T20 screw. So I'm going to use a trim tool real quick and then get that little cap off and show you guys what's up with that. I'm also realizing how disgusting my visors. I don't even know why no one uses these, but I guess I'll have to clean them up. So there's a T20 right there. I'm just going to undo that, and then this entire panel will be loose. And if you bring down this rubber seal enough, you can actually see where this panel goes all the way down to over there. We can actually just pull this piece off and then put it aside. I've got the other one right over there. And yeah, I'm going to do that real quick and then be back with you guys after that's done. Then we can remove this grab bar over here. Screws out. So now this just sort of comes right on up. Nothing really too concerning. And there we go. That sounded pretty violent, but trust me, it wasn't. It all came out as it should. Like I said, there's the airbags. Just keep that in mind. To not lose the screw, I like to just put it back in a little bit. Just thread it a little bit in that little same hole that we took it out from. Alright, now we can pretty much remove this front half. The only thing keeping us in is this grab handle. So what we gotta do, pull down, you see the two little covers. Gotta take those covers out, and then you can actually just pull on the grab handle and it'll just pop out. So, but first we gotta take out these covers, like I said. Alright, so basically just by pulling it backwards and not with too much force, just enough to let it give. This entire handle just came out, which is good. And now you can see our entire front headliner is pretty loose. So now all we gotta do is sort of work our way around and also around the front and just sort of get it below the sunroof line. Like you can see, just pull it down to below that roof, and then we can kind of carry that all the way down to over here. And oh, look at that. And now we have our sunroof. Quick update, figured out how to remove the top control panel completely. There basically was this optical cable. The one cable I thought I couldn't remove. Basically, if you follow that line a little further up, there was this little foam insulation covering up this little Fokker connection over here. Simply removed by pressing this tab down at the very back of the Fokker connection, and then the blue cable kind of disconnect from the blue on the control unit over there. And then on the mirror itself, I thought this also could not be removed, which would be kind of weird, but basically follow this wire all the way up. This one came into the control unit, and then this one was covered up with insulation all the way up to the very top to which there is this connector over here. We should press a little tab, and then that released this connector right over here. So now we have that in mind. I can put this aside now, and now I have a bunch of spare parts, not spare parts, but a bunch of parts sitting in my rear seat area over there. But as far as discovering what bolts do what, I'm still not quite sure. I think what I may end up doing is just releasing the entire headliner. So yeah, I'm going to take off this T25 over here, and then also there's a T20 behind this airbag logo over here. I believe we should take this trim piece off. I just pulled on this thing and just kind of came right out, so just a couple tabs, and that's essentially it for that piece. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it's not interfering anyway, so let's just put this aside. Quick heads up, they're actually both T25s, not T20. They're both T25s. Cool. Alright guys, this is the next day now. I'm awake, got some nice sleep, but now I'm going to show you guys how to take off sort of this little trim panel over here. You're going to pull down and sort of trim all the way down basically, so it'll expose all the little sort of tabs where all these little clips can connect. So the thing we're going to do is remove this lower sort of panel over here. So what we want to do is move the seat forward out of the way so you have a little bit more space to work with. So you can see we have these two silver clips over here. There's one over here, and there's also one down over here. So what we want to do is put a pick tool like this into this area over here. It's this little metal piece over here. We can kind of pry it up, and then we can pull out on this piece itself, and it actually released the entire sort of this panel itself. So it looks like there are actually three tabs on here, but there's only two we need to remove. So there's this one over here, and then also the one further up over here. So both of those should be fairly easy to remove. Again, don't force it. You just need to pry it up a little bit, and the entire thing will pop off. And then once this sort of side pops off, you can literally just kind of gently pull it, and the entire panel will pop off the side of the car. So pretty easy to do, and it saves you, I think, a little bit more in the end. Alright, so I've gotten these all nice and loosened up, as you can see. They're off. So now if I kind of push back, you slowly feel the release of some clips. Remove your rear seat bench. So to do that, you need to take out the little rubbers in the cup holder over here, which will expose some screws, as you can see right there. Looks like one T25 right over there, not only on the right side, on the left side. So once we remove this, we can actually just pull up on the entire thing. It'll just pop right out, and we can put this aside. Alright, so getting the seat out was actually quite a lot of work. It was not the easiest thing in the world, but here we are. So definitely do this first. This is probably the best thing to do first. Instead of those door cards, it would be a lot easier to take the door cards out if the seat was already out. Take that panel off next, and then take this panel off, which should be pretty easy. It should just basically come right out. Looks like there's one torque screw attaching it down there, so remove that, let this guy out of here, and then we can put the seats down, and you can easily remove this piece. It was already out of the car, I put it over there, and you can remove this piece for the headliner to be released, and also this plastic piece over here, and then that airbag cover over there, and the headliner should be free to drop. All right, at this point, I've got the rear bench out. I've got those little side pieces out with a T25. I just undid that screw, and that piece came right out. Next, I'm just going to be removing this piece over here, at least partially removing it. I'm not going to remove the entire thing. Essentially, this connects to this piece, which is actually clipped in over here at the side. I'm not going to bother undoing those clips because we don't need that much. Look how this it is. We don't need that much range of motion. Also, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but this wire was connected to the speaker. Just be sure to unplug that so you don't damage anything. There's one T25 right over here, I believe. Remove this guy. This panel will kind of pop out, and then, assuming you've already taken out this screw over here and this screw over here, this should just kind of pop all off. And then as you can see on this side, I've actually just kind of pushed things out of the way. So this will be looking like this, and then I've slid this all the way down, just down here. You can't remove it because the seat belt is there, obviously, so it's not a big deal how it's hanging right now, and there's nothing's being harmed at all. It's just sort of out of the way of the headliner. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. I'll be back to you guys when that is sort of out of the way. And there we go, it kind of pops out of those little pieces like so. You can see the little trim pieces that connect into the body like that. And now this piece should be pretty much free to sort of slowly wiggle out of place. It'll take a little bit of, there we go. And once you kind of get it loosened up, you just kind of pull it towards you. And there you go. Sorry about that, no, I was working with one hand there. So essentially here we go. So I've gotten this piece off, and then that piece could kind of be wiggled out with the airbag logo on it, and I've kind of slid it down over here. And now we can, now it's clearly you know, loose over here. What I'm trying to figure out now is why it still feels attached up here. So I need to figure that out. I wonder what could be attaching. Maybe it's this piece over here. I'll find out in a minute. All right, so now we got this piece over here. The main idea about this is pretty similar to the lower panel over here, which is you basically have to lift off these little clips and the panel will come free. Not the most elegant thing in the world, and it's gonna be a pain to put back, but that's what we have to do. So once you do those, the rest all kind of just wiggles on out, and then you gotta pull down, and there'll be a big gray tab that kind of goes up and above and around this headliner piece. And once that comes out, the headliner's pretty much loosened up from what I can tell. I don't think anything else can really come out. So it'll just be a matter of finagling it in a way that we don't damage anything. So yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick, and I'll show you guys what that looks like afterwards. All right, I've got this piece off now. You can see this is the gray tab I was talking about. And the moment I took it out, the entire thing sort of dropped down a little bit more. Now, I'm still perplexed as to why this is still kind of stuck to the back. The entire thing is just sort of out. It's just this back piece is just kind of holding us back. So I'm not sure if we have to push something out or maybe this light has to come out. I'm not quite sure. I'll let you guys know in a moment. All right, so at that point, it turns out all I had to do was sort of pull it forward a little bit and then push it back, and then the entire thing just dropped down, and we're in the clear. So now it's just a matter of undoing sunroof bolts and putting it back in with Loctite and hoping all for the best. Alrighty, so basically what I'm doing is I'm taking out each individual T25 over here, these little black screws, taking them out, putting some red Loctite on them. This guy over here, red thread locker. It's pretty extreme compared to the blue stuff because these should not be coming out at all, I don't think, in the future. So using the red stuff and then putting it back in, then putting a little silver mark on them just that I've actually done it before, or actually already put the Loctite on it. So there are quite a few of these on each side. It looks like there's what, 3 over there, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on each side, so 20 total. I've already done this entire side. And then in addition to those, there's also a bigger Torx screw, a silver one. You can kind of see right there. Let's see if we can get a better look. That one right there, which I believe is a T30 or a 35. I'll let you guys know when I get there. But there are 4 of those. There's 2 at the back and there's also 2 at the front. And I actually believe that these may be my primary issues. Where is it? There it is right there. And the same thing on the other side. So I think these actually may be my main issues, but I'm not quite sure. So I'll let you guys know if that is the actual problem. So far they've been a little bit loose. All the screws so far have been a little bit loose. Not as tight as I'd like them to be. So I'm basically just cranking them down and putting the Loctite on there. If I knew a torque specification, I would use that. However, I don't know the torque specification of this. I tried looking it up, but couldn't seem to find it anywhere. So I'll be settling just for tightening it up as much as I can without obviously stripping it and stuff like that, and just using Loctite. And hopefully, I'm really hoping this solves my issue of the rattling. This was a lot of work to get here. And then up front we have the motors over here, which do have some torque screws in them. So what I may do is actually tighten those as well. So for example, you can see there is a 25 or 20, I can't quite tell, right there. This one right here I'm talking about, and there's one in the middle of it somewhere, like right over there. And yeah, I'm not quite sure if these are the issue either, so I might as well just tighten them all while I'm here. Quick little update, guys. So those screws were in fact T30s in the corners, and I kind of got the headliner back on. I've retightened every single screw basically, so I did need the T25s in the little motor sections as well, which you can actually access through this little area over here, which is pretty neat. Yeah, the entire headliner is now sort of back in place. I'm sort of getting everything tightened up once again. So the first thing we want to put back is obviously the headliner, headliner, and then the next step will be putting this piece back over here. That piece will go back in place. You can go ahead and put the screw in over there, and after this piece is in place, you can go ahead and put this piece back in place, this lower sort of plastic piece, which is this guy over here. Once that's in, you can go ahead and put in the actual door card, or the rear door card. Actually, before the door card, this piece over here on either side, and then the door card. Not really door card because there's no door, but the rear sort of interior trim, I suppose. And after that, you can then go ahead and put in the entire rear seat thing, the side pieces first, and the actual bench at the bottom. And then for the front, you can basically do it any order you want. And overall, I mean, I gotta say, taking it apart seems like it was much harder than putting it back together. I thought putting it back together was gonna be a lot harder, but this took like 5 minutes to get this entire thing back in. So, and it looks like it wasn't even touched, which is what you want. Also, you really want to make sure the headliner's above and around the rails of the sunroof. Now I'm praying that this fixes my issue. If it doesn't, I'm going to be very sad. I might cry a little bit. You don't want to see me cry, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Well, guys, just came over for a drive and went on the freeway. But I can confirm now that my sunroof is rattle-free. I'm super happy about that. That was a ton of work. And it was all worth it in the end. So now this car does not make any more rattling sounds. And from the sunroof, at least, there are, you know, usual C Class W204 Coupe sounds. Actually, this car is pretty quiet now. I gotta say, between the screen thing I did, the screen doesn't rattle anymore with the Android screen, and then with the sunroof fixed, which wasn't ever really broken, it was just loose, I guess, which was making that really annoying sound. That has been resolved. So hopefully, if you guys had the same issue, it's helped you out. And I hope this video really kind of showed some insight on how to really fix this stupid issue. To prevent this issue, if you guys have a car that does not have this issue, if you made it this far in the video, obviously, I do recommend getting some strut bars for the front and rear. I've heard those reduce interior noise dramatically. I'm sure it kind of helps with the chassis flex, as there is a glass roof above you, no steel, so, or no, at least no steel roof at least. So I'm sure that would help out a lot. Against the strut bars, we'll be ordering some. I'll probably buy some from Ultra Racing, the Malaysian company that sells on eBay. They're not as expensive as Rentec, but they do the same job essentially. So I have them in my BMW and the ML. So I'll be doing that on this car very soon. So stick around for that. And yeah, if this video helped you out, if you guys like AMG content, little stuff with W204, 164, M156 motors, 63s in general, please subscribe, leave a like on this video. Really appreciate it. But yeah, that's it. Roof's fixed.